Friends, life is not a hard struggle or a war. Life is a game, and if you know the rules, victory is in the palm of your hand. These 10 chapters from Florence Scovel Shinn's world-renowned book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, are the keys to changing your destiny. Let's take a quick look at what these 10 steps will teach us. The game, recognizing the fundamental rules of life and using them to snatch victory. Prosperity, casting off thoughts of lack and inviting abundance into your life. The power of the word, how every word that leaves your mouth writes your future. Non-resistance, the technique of becoming irresistible by conquering obstacles or negative situations without resisting them. Karma and forgiveness, clearing the mountain of past mistakes and opening a new chapter in life. Casting the burden, freeing yourself from worry and calming your subconscious mind. Love, how the divine power of selfless love brings miraculous changes to your life. Intuition, recognizing the correct signals from within and the power to make the right decisions. Perfect self-expression, finding why you came to this earth and discovering your true life goal. Affirmations, reshaping your destiny through the power of positive declarations. Friends, these 10 chapters are not just for listening, but for applying to your own life. Let's begin the journey to becoming a winner in this game of life. Chapter 1. The Game of Life. The core philosophy of this chapter is that life is not a constant battle, a hard struggle, or a cruel twist of fate. Life is a game of giving and receiving. Most people lose this game because they do not know its spiritual rules. Florence Scovel Shinn claims that the human subconscious mind is like a massive storage unit or a computer. Whatever you believe and store there will eventually be printed onto the screen of your real life. If you believe life is hard, it will be hard. But if you believe every situation is working for your good, you will miraculously succeed. Your imagination is the most powerful weapon in this game. Whatever you can clearly see in your mind will become your reality. Real life stories and examples. Inviting separation through fear. The author tells the story of a woman who lived in constant terror that her husband would leave her. Out of this fear, she suspected him continuously and visualized the painful scenes of their separation. Shinn shows that the woman actually ordered this separation into her life through her own fear. The subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between what you want and what you don't want. It only acts on what you are most preoccupied with. Eventually, her husband did leave. What she feared, she attracted. Declaring abundance in the face of lack. The $1 secret. The author mentions a man who had only $1 in his pocket. An ordinary person would have crumbled under the stress of such lack. However, this man knew the spiritual laws. While spending that $1, he said with full faith, "This $1, by the blessing of the universe, will return to me 1,000-fold." He denied the present lack and accepted future abundance as real in his mind. A few days later, he miraculously received an offer for a major project, which resolved all his financial crises. Metaphors and philosophy. Aladdin's genie and the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is like the genie in the lamp, bound to obey your every command. When you say, "I can't do it," or "My luck is bad," the genie says, "Your wish is my command." When you face a crisis and say, "I will surely win," he still says, "Your wish is my command." If you ask for something negative, the genie will bring exactly that into your life. The radio station and frequency. Life is like a radio station. If you want to hear a sad song, you have to tune into a frequency of sorrow. If you want prosperity and victory, you must tune your thoughts and words to the frequency of success. You cannot expect the right song if you are tuned to the wrong station. 3 major lessons of this chapter. Imagination is the primary weapon. Create a clear, vibrant mental picture of what you want to achieve. The subconscious mind is compelled to turn that image into its reality. Do not indulge fear. Do not spend even a second thinking about the things you don't want. Thinking negatively is equivalent to inviting that disaster into your life. Understand the rules. To win the game of life, you must send out positive thoughts and goodwill. Whatever you send out into the universe will return to you with interest. Friends, today you learned why your life is a game and how your subconscious is writing your destiny behind the scenes. If you paint the wrong picture in your mind, life will give you the wrong results. But is imagination alone enough to get everything? How did a woman with only $2 in her pocket clear all her debts? See you in the second chapter, where Florence Scovel Shinn reveals the law of prosperity, which will fill your life of lack with abundance. Chapter 2. The Law of Prosperity. The core foundation of this chapter is that prosperity or financial stability is not a coincidence, but a specific spiritual law. Florence Scovel Shinn claims, "This universe is an infinite storehouse where there are enough resources to meet your every need." However, the problem lies in a person's scarcity mindset. When you constantly think, "I don't have money," or "things are too expensive," you unknowingly block the path of the universe's supply. The author says that prosperity must arrive in your mind before it arrives in your pocket. You must believe that you have the right to receive what you desire. When you deny lack and embrace abundance in your heart, your subconscious mind will create circumstances that bring money and opportunities into your life. Real-life stories and examples. The woman's $2 and the miraculous check. The author gives a real-life example of a woman who had many pending bills and no way to repay her loans. She had only $2 in her hand. An ordinary person might have cried, but this woman knew the spiritual laws. While spending those $2, she said with total peace in her heart, "God is the source of all supply in my life, and He is opening the way to repay this loan in a miraculous way." Instead of thinking of lack, she gave thanks with the joy of receiving. Remarkably, a few days later, a person she had completely forgotten about came and gave her a check for a large sum. That single check cleared all her debts. The author states that when you spend even your last resource with faith instead of fear, it returns to you 1,000-fold. New shoes and the power of faith. The author speaks of a poor woman who wanted to buy a pair of expensive shoes but couldn't afford them. The author told her, "Even if you can't buy the shoes now, think about them and believe they are coming to you." Without using logic, the woman went to an expensive shoe store, looked at the pair, and said to herself, "These are mine." She imagined herself as the owner of those shoes. A few days later, a friend called her and said, "I bought a pair of shoes, but they don't fit me. Would you like to take them?" It turned out her friend gifted her the exact same model of shoes. When your faith is firm, the universe uses someone else as a medium to fulfill your desire. Metaphors and philosophy. The invisible bank. Prosperity can be compared to an invisible bank. Your faith is the key with which you can withdraw the resources you need from this bank. When you speak of fear, you are bouncing your own check. The universe treats your fear as a command as well. The ship and the harbor. Your prosperity is like a ship floating on the sea. Your positive thoughts are the tide that brings the ship into the harbor. Your negative thoughts are the ebb tide that pushes the ship away from the shore. The ship is already in the sea. You decide through your thoughts whether it will reach you or not. 3 major lessons of this chapter. Declare abundance. Regardless of your current situation, always say in your mind and with your mouth, "All my needs are met and the universe is giving me abundance." Gratitude is the guarantee of receiving. Give thanks for something before you even receive it. Gratitude is the most powerful magnet that attracts success. Prepare for it. If you want to receive something new, make space for it. Your actions should prove that you believe the thing is coming to you. Friends, today you learned why prosperity is hidden not in your bank balance but deep within your thoughts. If you stay on the frequency of lack, the universe can never make you wealthy. But is thinking of abundance alone enough to clear all obstacles? What do you do when people around you try to harm you or situations go against you? Chapter 3: The Power of the Word. The core foundation of this chapter is that every word that leaves your mouth is a spiritual decree. Florence Scovel Shinn says, "A man's word is his wand." When you speak, you send an invisible vibration or frequency into the universe that shapes your destiny. Most people unknowingly speak words of self-destruction. If you say, "I am sick," "I am unlucky," or "I will never be successful," your subconscious mind creates exactly those circumstances for you. Your words are seeds. If you sow seeds of poison, you cannot expect to reap the fruit of nectar. Therefore, a conscious person chooses every word very carefully so that it brings only victory and prosperity into their life. Real-life stories and examples. The woman's skin condition and positive declaration. The author describes the real-life story of a woman who suffered from a long-term skin condition that no medicine could cure. The author noticed that the woman constantly talked about her illness and complained to others. Shinn told her, "Your words are keeping your disease alive." The woman was then given a specific affirmation: "My body is filled with perfect peace and divine health." When she began saying this every day with full faith and stopped complaining about her illness, her body miraculously began to heal quickly. Within a few weeks, her skin became like new. In other words, her words healed her. A friend's financial crisis and the magic of words. The author mentions a friend whose business was on the verge of collapse. That friend would always say, "Everything is over. I am going bankrupt." Shinn stopped him and said, "What you are saying is becoming true. From today, say, 'My bank balance is infinite, and the universe is meeting my every need.'" The friend changed his words, and after some time it was seen that through a strange turn of events, an order came into his business that covered all his losses. A single positive word from your mouth can turn the tide of your life. Metaphors and philosophy. The arrow and the bow. Your mouth is the bow, and your words are the arrows. Once an arrow leaves the bow, it is impossible to bring it back. It will surely hit its mark. If you fire an arrow of negative words, it will bring negativity into your life. So before firing a word, think, is this bringing you peace or unrest? The court verdict. Treat your every word as a verdict delivered by a judge. The universe is the executioner bound to carry out your every decree. When you pass a verdict of being poor for yourself, the universe empties your pockets. 3 major lessons of this chapter. Complaining is self-cursing. Whenever you complain about someone or a situation, know that you are worsening your own destiny. Changing destiny through words. Your words must change before your circumstances can change. Claim what you want to be before you actually receive it. The power of silence. If you cannot say something good, remain silent, because one wrong word can turn years of hard work into dust. Friends, today you learned why every word that leaves your mouth acts as the pen of your destiny. Your single word can make you a king, and your single word can make you a beggar on the street. But is speaking alone enough to get everything? When a major obstacle or enemy stands in your way in life, how do you remain calm and emerge victorious?
See you in the fourth part, where Florence Scovel Shinn reveals the law of non-resistance, which will teach you how to defeat all of life's enemies without ever fighting.
Chapter 4. The Law of Non-Resistance. The core foundation of this chapter is, what you resist persists. Florence Scovel Shinn claims that the easiest way to go through hell is to fight against something. When you battle a bad situation, negative people, or injustice through anger, hatred, or resistance, you are actually holding that negativity in your life. This is because fighting means you are providing energy supply to the problem. Instead, if you remain calm, mentally accept the situation and bless it, the problem loses its power. This is not weakness, rather, it is spiritual strength. When you become non-resistant and let go, the universe begins to fight on your behalf, and the situation miraculously turns in your favor. Real-life stories and examples. The transformation of the angry boss. The author describes the real-life story of an employee whose boss was extremely irritable and foul-mouthed. Every day after work, the employee would return home complaining about the boss and go to the office the next day with a fighting mindset. Shinn told him, the more you fight against him, the more he will harm you. From today, bless him. The employee stopped arguing and began saying to himself, I bless my boss and our relationship is now extremely respectful and peaceful. He did not take the boss's anger into his own being. The result was incredible. A few days later, the boss came to him on his own, treated him well, and gave him a promotion. When you remain calm, the opponent cannot find a place to strike. The lost jewelry and the calm mind. The author speaks of a woman who had lost an expensive diamond. She was searching for it frantically and was extremely worried. Shinn told her, stop searching and be still. Believe that nothing is ever lost. The woman stopped searching, became non-resistant, and said to herself, the universe knows where my item is and it is coming back to me. Exactly a few hours later, she found the diamond in a completely unexpected place. When you fight desperately to get something, you actually push it away. Metaphors and philosophy. The water and the rock. When water from a spring flows and encounters a rock, it does not fight the rock. The water simply flows around the rock to find its way. Yet in the end, that soft water is what wears down the hard rock. A superior man or a conscious person is exactly like that water. He does not fight the situation but creates his own path by remaining calm. Wrestling in the mud. Do not go to wrestle with a pig in the mud, because if you wrestle, the pig will be happy, but you will end up covered in the mud. Fighting with a negative situation means bringing yourself down to that low frequency. 3 major lessons of this chapter. Stop reacting. When someone insults you or a danger arrives, do not react immediately. Your silence and stillness are your greatest strengths. Bless the enemy. Wish well for the person who wants to harm you. This mentally disarms them and their negative influence no longer affects you. The power of surrender. When you cannot find a solution to a problem, leave it to the universe. When you stop fighting, the path to the solution opens up on its own. Friends, today you learned why winning without fighting is the greatest strategy in the world. The calmer you remain, the more the world will bow before you. But do the mistakes we have made ever leave us? Can any injustice or error from our past ruin our present? See you in the 5th part, where Florence Scovel Shinn reveals the law of karma and the law of forgiveness, which will teach you how to break all the negative chains of the past and start a new chapter in life. Chapter 5. The Law of Karma and the Law of Forgiveness. The core foundation of this chapter is, whatever a man sows, that shall he also reap. This is known as the law of karma or the law of cause and effect. Florence Scovel Shinn claims that every sorrow, lack, or obstacle in your life is actually a reflection of some wrong thought, word, or action from your past. However, the most revolutionary aspect of this chapter is that man is not merely a slave to his karma. There is a law in the universe even more powerful than the law of karma, and that is the law of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a spiritual power that can break the chains of all your past negative karma. When you sincerely forgive someone and offer a positive declaration by repenting for your own mistakes, you are liberated from the harsh penalties of karma. It teaches you how to cast off the burdens of the past and begin a new, holy life. Real life stories and examples. The businessman's stuck money. The author describes a man whose business partner had cheated him, leaving a large sum of his money stuck. This man was extremely resentful and hated his partner constantly. As a result, his current business began suffering losses as well. Shinn told him, "As long as you hate him, you will remain stuck in that frequency of lack and evil." As soon as the man sincerely forgave the partner and wished him well, all his stuck payments miraculously began to clear. Forgiveness liberated him from that negative karma. The price of past mistakes and liberation. The author speaks of a woman who had harmed someone in the past, and later, similar harm began to manifest in her own life. She realized this was her karma. Shinn taught her to pray for grace instead of living in fear. When the woman sincerely asked for forgiveness and believed that a higher power had forgiven her, the stormy situation in her life suddenly became calm. In other words, forgiveness erases your past mistakes and gives you the chance to make your present beautiful. Metaphors and philosophy. The farmer and the seed. Life is a cultivated field. If you sow seeds of thorns there, you will get thorns. But forgiveness is like a fire that can burn away all the weeds and thorns in your field, allowing you to sow golden harvests once again. The massive ship and the anchor. Your past hatred or guilt is that heavy anchor preventing the ship of your life from moving forward. No matter how much you increase the engine's power, hard work, the ship won't move unless the anchor is lifted. Forgiveness is the pair of scissors that cuts the rope of that anchor, giving you the freedom to float in the infinite ocean. 3 major lessons of this chapter. Hating someone is like poisoning yourself. When you are angry with someone, you have tied them to yourself. Set them free. Only then will you be free. Forgiveness is the ultimate armor. When you forgive everyone, no one's negative energy or curse can work against you. Pray for self-forgiveness. Stop feeling guilty for your past mistakes. Learning to forgive yourself is the first step towards spiritual growth. Friends, today you learned why forgiveness is the greatest source of power in your life and how it can break the chains of your karma. When you clear your mind, the world around you will also begin to clear. But when mountains of 1,000 worries pile up inside the mind, how do you put that weight down? See you in the 6th part, where Florence Scovel Shinn reveals Casting the Burden, which will teach you how to leave all your problems to the universe and sleep in perfect peace. Friends, the first 5 chapters were just the beginning, but the real magic is hidden in the next 5. In the next part, you are going to learn how to cast the burden of all your worries onto the universe and solve mountain-sized problems overnight. Without knowing this, all the knowledge you've learned so far will remain incomplete. See you in the life-changing part 2. Missing it means letting the biggest opportunity to change your destiny slip through your fingers. The link to the part 2 video will be in the first comment of this video's comment box, inshallah. Before you go, a small but powerful challenge. If you truly want to apply the knowledge from this video to your life, listen to it at least once before sleeping for the next 21 days. Your brain will try to deceive you by saying, "I already know all this." But remember, knowing something and having it merge into your blood and flesh are not the same. Only when your brain memorizes these truths will your body begin to apply them in reality. The top 1% of people in the world learn something new for at least 1 hour every day, which is why they are different from everyone else today. Make it a habit to read or listen to a book for at least 30 minutes daily, whether it's on our Success Code channel or elsewhere. Remember, winners listen repeatedly, and that is why they are invincible. Let us know in the comments how you liked the video. See you at the unveiling of a new mystery.